Hello, hello, and welcome to Technology Today. It is June 2nd, 2024, Season 1, Episode 15. I am Mayor Watt, and above me is the visualizer for the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, hometown citizens. Welcome to Technology Today.
If you are new here, then you can type in !show notes, and that will present everything that you need to type, or that you would have to type in to get the show notes for each of our individual shows. There's 7 unique shows here in ohmTown so far. And if you type that in, you'll get all of these little shorthand commands. For this show, it's !TT will give you a list of all of the articles that we're going to be talking about today. Actually, no, that's wrong.
Sometimes it does.
Well, when it's actually installed properly, and the AI does its job, not you, sentient AI, the Omatron bot, did not do its job. So I'm going to do it live. I might as well, and do a course correction. And we have time. Why not? Right? We're not doing anything else today.
I mean, we don't have anything to talk about.
No, we don't have 10 articles that are ready to go. All right. Well, I've put it into the system, and let me clear the chat. And I don't like to edit. I like the truthiness to persist. So there you go. I've posted all of the new links, the correct links for today's show. There you go. And if you type in !pod, you will get all of the podcast links, and that will help you get to all of our shows. There's, again, 7 of them. ohmTown Daily News Show, Reality Hacker, Wanted, Warcrafters, the Continuity Report, Technology Today, that's this show. And then after this show is 4-Wheel Tech. Hopefully we'll get it done before midnight. We'll see.
I don't know. That's looking a little unlikely.
Oh, the sentient AI from the future has faith in the mayor. Let's go. First article is over in Technology Today. AI predicts fruit fly behavior with stunning accuracy. Researchers using AI reveal new insights into how vision influences fruit fly behavior with implications for human visual research. We've all heard the saying, what? The article is over at SciTech Daily by Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, which sounds like a place that would be the house for a supervillain.
It might be.
But it might be because like Cold Harbor is I think it's from, there's a game that I play. I don't think that has anything to do with our New World. I think it has to do with New World. Anyway, so Kali's team recorded the fruit fly courtship process over a series of quote-unquote dates in a petri dish. I don't know if the dates mean temporal, or dates as in 2 fruit flies, one texting the other one, "You up?"
I think they mean the latter because they're talking about courtship.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I was kind of... Okay, well, anyway, tracking the behavior of the male, blue, in response to any sight of the female, red. Oh, see, I want to say something, but I'm going to filter that. Tiny microphones placed below the arena captured the songs the male produced by beating its wings. that song that it was playing. Let's get it on. Ooh. Let's get it on. Anyway. So apparently, oh wow, that's interesting.
Oh yeah.
Look, it stuck its wings out like saying, "Hey, I'm going to make a left-hand turn." Look, beep, beep.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
And then it reset its wings.
In the podcast, there's a blue and a red fly, and they're running around or flying around.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, what's up? You must work out." So we've all heard the saying, the eyes are the window to the soul. But remember, windows offer a view in both directions. Our eyes are also windows to the world we see, and what we see and how we see it help determine pardon me. Sorry about that. I'm good. Help determine how we move through the world. In other words, our vision helps guide our actions, including social behaviors. Now a young scientist at Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, or CSHL, has uncovered a major clue into how this works, and he did it by building a special AI model of the common fruit fly brain. Could have done it at half the cost.
Did he have to make it at scale?
Yeah. They could have done it at half the cost if they had modeled my brain. It's basically like a 1 and a 0 orbiting each other, and every once in a while a decision is made. We can actually predict neural activity computationally and ask how specific neurons contribute to their behavior. This is something we couldn't do before. You've got to be kidding me.
If they've figured all this out, this is incredible. For those in the podcast, it has multiple behaviors, and
yeah,
I guess based on the visual and the brain activity.
So based on the visual stimulus of position, rotation, size, rotation, speed, and direction, they say rotation twice in here, but I think it's based on neural activity that results in a slow pulse song. So rotation, speed, and direction are aligned, at least horizontally, with the music.
Oh, I was thinking it was like reverse rotation or something because of the brackets, but I don't know.
It might actually be like pivot one way, pivot the other way. But the other one, the other rotation has both directions. So I don't know. But maybe it says it in the study and we just haven't gotten there yet. But those visual stimuli get processed by neural activity, and that turns into behavior such as forward velocity, angular velocity, lateral velocity, and then pulse fast song, pulse slow song, and sine song. Pretty spectacular that they've been able to deduce based off of the visual stimuli, translate that into neural activity mapping, and then the action is the behavioral. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, this is pretty advanced, I think.
So they say, does that mean that AI could someday predict human behavior? They say not so fast, which that's pure hubris. Yes, at some point we're going to be able to predict human behavior. Fruit fly brains contain about 100,000 neurons. The human brain has almost 100 billion. Referring to the subway map, Cowley says, this is what it's like for a fruit fly. You can imagine what our visual system is like. Yes, but how many?
This is the same level, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same idea. It's just much more complex.
Well, and how much of this is actually tied to neural activity in the grand scheme of things? We might have a ton of tertiary neural activity.
That's true.
That doesn't affiliate itself with visual stimuli.
You're right. So maybe we're making it sound more complicated than it is, but I think they're trying to make the point that like we're not going to have this figured out for humans tomorrow.
Sure. But an AI could probably take that and build this map automatically off of its own assessment of our visual stimulus, proposed neural activity with alignment to the visual stimuli, and our behavior. I mean, think about it. If I'm sitting there watching a door slam shut and my hands are in the door frame, my behavior is to pull my hand out of the door frame. It's predicated on the visual stimulus, and it's pretty easy to one-to-one assess my neural activity with an EEG.
That's true.
So do that experiment and you go, I've got position, I've got rotation, I've got size, I've got the secondary rotation, whatever it might be, and the speed and direction. That door is coming at me. It's coming right at my hand. Where is my hand? I need to move. I need to operate, get out of the way. There's my behavior. There's my, I mean, I'm making it sound very basic, but we don't have to do these lines. We don't have to create all of these because we have the data. We have the visual stimulus data, we have the neural data, we have the behavioral data. Just make it.
True. We also have something else that we don't have with fruit flies, right? If we have to, we can talk to the human subjects and
Hey.
go, what were you doing with your hand? Were you trying to, whatever, keep it in the door or remove it or whatever?
Yeah, I was
Which could at least back up some of the EEG type data.
Yeah, I was just about to talk about that. Yeah, very good. Wow, we're on the same page. So the reference here is mapping model units to visual neurons reveals population code for social behavior by Benjamin R. Cowley et al. There are individuals here, but I'm just not going to name them all. Anyway, it's in the May 2024 Nature journal. So if you want to go and read about the data, I'm sure that the actual study is in there. We just don't go into that fine detail. We could, but that would probably be another Patreon type of situation.
I also like this because they can run with this model and they don't have to do as many animal experiments.
True.
Once they've got, and they made a point about that earlier, although it was about the cost. But
yeah, not the ethics or morality of it, right? No, you can poke the bear as much as you want, as long as it's cheap. Let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Gene discovery could lead to resilient pixie corn. When I saw the picture of this, because when I was putting it all together, I'm like, are they really talking about pixie corn? Researchers have identified a widely found gene in plants as a key transporter of a hormone that influences the size of corn. And, some people really appreciate a nice, girthy corn versus a pixie corn, right? Some people, though, appreciate a pixie corn because it easier to manage, and you can have a lot of them. So the discovery offers plant breeders a new tool to develop desirable dwarf varieties that could enhance the crop's resilience and profitability.
Profitability. Right?
Oh no. The AI is being poison pilled by Mayor Watt about the cost of things. Look, the corn is going to get expensive no matter what. The days of cheap food are over.
Right, but the manufacturers of various food items are selling you less food at a higher cost.
Just wait until you see that little corn.
That's pixie corn?
That's pixie corn.
I didn't know what pixie corn was,
yeah.
But okay. Oh.
Some people have to
I refer to it as baby corn.
Baby corn, yeah. So some people have to deal with big corn, and some people really do appreciate the pixie corn. But I thought that this was going to resilient pixie corn. If you've ever had pixie corn, it's kind of floppy, kind of meh.
It's not the same as regular corn.
Right.
I didn't even know it was actually corn. It looks like corn.
So researchers have identified a widely found gene in plants as a key transporter of a hormone that influences the size of corn. A hallmark of the current age of science is that we have all this high quality genome data, whether for corn or humans or other organisms like a fern that it has the world record. And now we have the task of figuring out what the genes actually do. Well, all of this, what do they call it? Junk DNA is again hubris. The idea that it doesn't do anything is just beyond stupid.
Except, the researcher, though, regarding the fern would agree.
Right. And so I am, without their permission, I'm labeling them my spirit animal. So maybe one day we'll meet and I'll go, you know what? I was saying the same thing before it was cool. Anyway, the group used reverse genetic screening from the gene to traits expressed in the plant, combined with other techniques as they track the gene's role in corn development. Reverse screens require multiple growing seasons and don't always work, according to Kelly. Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily express. So it took 7 years for her group to thoroughly characterize ZMPILS6 and verify that it regulates plant growth. So once they narrowed it down, they basically disabled it. That's pretty much the nuts and bolts of this, to see what it did to the plant.
That's also interesting with the time frame because what could have happened during that time is there could have been genetic modification or evolution.
Somewhere else in the genome. That would be interesting, right? So did they
Hmm.
do a complete genome assessment and break out every single base pair to verify that
Who
it's all the
knows?
same? I mean, it's
We
a
don't have enough
corn.
detail here, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't think so either. So as they studied the ZM pills 6 in corn, or I'm just going to call it Zoom pills 6, the researchers made another curious finding. The gene seemed to have opposite effects on plant growth than a comparable gene, Arabidopsis, a plant that often used as a model for research. It was very unexpected. It illustrates that plant proteins, which have evolved in different contexts, can behave differently, or it's not the same. It emphasizes the need to study genes directly within key crops of interest rather than thinking we understand them based on how they work in other plants, which basically sets a very, very big, a very profound scare tactic for people, because a medication for you isn't necessarily a medication for me.
Right, and that makes me think that all research related to genetics at this point
Is a
needs to
freaking
be
shot in
thrown
the
out,
dark.
which is terrifying.
Yeah, it's a shot in the dark. You know, all the way back to the pea plants. Yeah, sure, it happened to be affirmative in the expressions, but how many other things have taken place that we don't even really know about?
Right, and how many extrapolations have we made across species
Yeah,
that may or may not fit?
yeah, because
But
we've
they've also exploded the potential for scientific research, right?
oh
Because
sure,
now you could have 10 people studying something very similar
and come out with different
in,
results.
right, because they'd be species focused or something.
Yeah, or discover that it is identical, and then you have something that's a little bit more um, fundamental in understanding.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting. Kelly calls the new research foundational basic research to understand a gene that impacts numerous complex growth traits, with which evolution has conserved through many plants, from algae to maize. Yeah, kind of interesting. Um, but I'll just move on. The article actually stems from Iowa State Dave Ropke. Is
The
the
Ohio,
author.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
the Iowa State.
The Iowa State. And the website that I got so excited about talking about genetics that I didn't say the name of the website or the person, so futurity.org. All right, let's keep going. We've got 8 more articles to go through, including this one. Harnessing the sun, innovative thermal trap reaches over 1,000 degrees C using sunlight. And the future solar energy could be used to produce cement or steel instead of burning coal or oil for this purpose. What is going on? Okay. Fabio Bergaman from ETH Zurich put this article together. It's posted at scitechdaily.com. And this is just an illustration of how this works. Experimental thermal trap. It consists of a quartz rod inside and a ceramic absorber outside. It's basically a furnace or a foundry, a kiln. I have something similar to this right now in my lab, but it's the reverse. I can put stuff inside a ceramic vessel and heat up the ceramic vessel to melt whatever I put inside the ceramic vessel. Whereas this is the ceramic absorber. Solar radiation enters into it and it's all captured in the back to radiate heat, to capture the heat. But it would act like my furnace. So you could put a bunch of stuff in there.
So is this supposed to be like an eco-friendly way to generate or transmit energy?
Well, to capture light, photons, and turn it into heat energy. So a new thermal trap uses sunlight to reach a temperature of over 1,000 degrees Celsius. The new technology minimizes heat loss, making it possible to generate this high temperature efficiently. The approach could help industrial plants with high temperatures and thus make these industries carbon neutral. One of the biggest things that are used right now are called electric arc furnaces. And in that electric arc furnace, a massive amount of energy is consumed to basically, you plunge rods into metal. It superheats the metal until it's molten. Then they pull the rods out and pour it off into molds, casts, or whatever it is. If you can use the sun to generate the temperatures that are necessary to melt whatever materials, then you don't need the energy, the electricity.
Then you don't have the carbon output.
Right. You're basically using the sun all by itself. So breakthrough in solar thermal technology, scientists at ETH Zurich have now demonstrated, in the lab at least, a way to make these industries independent of fossil fuels using solar radiation. They've engineered a device that can deliver heat at the high temperatures needed for production processes. The team, led by Emiliano Casati, a scientist at the Energy and Process Systems Engineering Group, and Aldo Steinfeld, professor of renewable energy carriers, has developed a thermal trap, and it consists of a quartz rod coupled to a ceramic absorber, which, thanks to its optical properties, can efficiently absorb sunlight and convert it into heat. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're probably shaping the quartz rod, and it's pure, optically pure, so that it does one thing: it drives all of that light down to the bottom, and doesn't allow it to radiate out. And with the ceramic insulator, it keeps all of that heat inside, as deep in there as possible.
Can that be used for things like lasers?
It's basically that premise, except that the laser is pointing in instead of out. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't make that type of a parallel. The plants typically operate at up to 600 degrees. At higher temperatures, heat loss by radiation increases and reduces the efficiency of the plants. A major advantage of the thermal trap developed by ETH Zurich researchers is that it minimizes radiative heat losses, because it's basically keeping it all down at the bottom. And with an insulator, it doesn't have the ability to bleed off. If I'm interpreting all of this correctly. They did all of this research and then published it in a journal called Device, which sounds ominous.
Yes, it does. That's like owned by a supervillain.
I'm really curious if they actually make that parallel somewhere else, because what they're doing is capturing light and driving it down into a point to heat up, whereas a laser energizes photons in some body. It can be chemical, it can be solid nowadays, and focuses them. It bounces around a whole bunch of times inside the laser, and then there's so many of them that they eventually find the orifice that shoots the photons out as a beam. So people often think of energy in terms of electricity, but we actually use half of our energy in the form of heat. And pretty much all energy at some point becomes heat. So pretty cool. I love the idea of this, and then electricity can be used elsewhere because you're using these solar thermal capture devices.
Absolutely. This seems like this could make a significant difference if it can actually be
scaled up.
Scaled up, yes.
Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over on the Marble channel, How the Cookie Crumbles, X-ray tech used to reveal the secrets of baking the perfect biscuit.
Now, this is important research.
This is important. WMG at the, is that like, oh my God? Like, wow, my God? WMJ Becky.
These biscuits.
Look at her biscuits. At the University of Warwick and Cadbury, yes, y'all turn into technology today to hear me do a lyric from a rap song. WMG at the University of Warwick and Cadbury have used powerful X-ray scanning equipment to uncover the secrets of how the structure of biscuits, which is essential for the perfect crunch, forms. Look, biscuit science is no joke. It's not a laughing matter.
I wonder what they did when they got a grant proposal for this. Like, what do you think they thought on the receiving end?
They're like, we'll approve it, but you have to send us a box of perfect biscuits.
Yeah, they probably submitted the proposal right before lunchtime.
Yeah, really. Oh yeah. Don't read this until 11:30. You know, though, what yeah. If you're in like grant work or something like that, you can't benefit from your position. So even if you do stumble across something, you can't do anything with it. Whereas in private sector, like if you're a professor at a university and it's a private university, it doesn't receive public money, the professor can invest in whatever it is they're advising. So they can be billionaires a la Google. Anyway, I'm not bitter or anything. So X-ray tech used to reveal secrets of baking the perfect cookie. So biscuits are the UK's favorite sweet treat, with the average person in the UK eating about 6 a week, which doesn't seem like much to an American, but...
But wait, these are actually American cookies, correct?
Yes.
Because I'm thinking bread biscuits, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's not what these are. So WMG researchers scanned biscuits in a bespoke oven as they baked, imaging the inside of the biscuits to reveal the porous structure essentially for the perfect crunch forms during the baking process. So through their X-ray, they're hoping to uncover the ideal baking time, thickness, and recipe for the ultimate eating experience, but that's so subjective.
Well, absolutely, because some people like crunchy or chewy or whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're diving deeper into the world of biscuits and baked food and hope to continue working with Cadbury for a long time to come. Yeah, I bet you are. So using the latest algorithms, the imaging process was sped up by to scan the biscuit of every 20 seconds throughout the baking process. When put together, the WMG and Cadbury teams could observe the biscuit baking over time in X-ray form. Principal scientist at Cadbury, Thomas Kerwin, is excited for the future of biscuit development. Phrase I never thought I'd ever say. Quote, the latest algorithms have allowed us to watch and quantify the baking process inside the biscuit in greater detail than ever before. This capability will help us determine the function of different ingredients in more detail and how the structure that forms controls the eating experience. I am excited about what we can learn and how this will help us deliver the great tasting biscuits of the future. Which sounds dystopian as shit, man.
Yeah, it does. But the main takeaway is better biscuits.
And for me, the bigger takeaway is that they've got technology now that allows you to X-ray biscuits cooking, which wasn't able to be done before.
Exactly. I mean, this really could improve cooking in terms of, I suppose, nutrition and
gastronomy in general.
Taste and all kinds of, yeah, exactly. I think this is pretty incredible.
Culinary research. Now everybody in culinary programs are going to be like, hey, we need an X-ray oven so we know exactly how this is being cooked. And we
can only experiment on it if we can bake at least 100 batches of biscuits.
Yeah, a week. Yeah.
Or however many.
Yeah. Constantly. All right. The next article is over in Technology Today. Innovative engineering shields NASA's OSIRIS-APEX during close encounter with the sun. OSIRIS-APEX, a NASA spacecraft, successfully navigated its closest approach to the sun, exceeding design expectations and demonstrating. There's the hyphen is right at the end of demon.
Yeah, it looks odd.
Demonstrating robust engineering by protecting its sensitive components. The article is over at SciTech Daily. It's by Lonnie Schechtman, NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. I'm starting to sound like the guy that plays Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Tim Curry?
Yeah. Because I was NASA. There's a game that he's in where he says space. Anyway, I'm a dummy. Lonnie Schechtman from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center put this article together. NASA's OSIRIS-APEX spacecraft successfully completed its closest solar pass, protected by innovative engineering solutions and showing improvements in onboard instruments. Let's see here. I realize that I say quite a bit. Their models had predicted, despite traveling 25 million miles closer to the heat of the sun than was originally designed, that OSIRIS-APEX and its components would remain safe. The mission team confirmed that the spacecraft had indeed come out of the experience unscathed after downloading stored telemetry data in mid-March. The team also tested OSIRIS-APEX's instruments in early April once the spacecraft was far enough from the sun to return to normal operations. Between December 2023 and March, OSIRIS-APEX was inactive with only limited telemetry data available to the team on Earth. I guess because it got so close, but then it was able to download all that data.
That's really interesting, but were they really that far off in their calculations?
So I don't know why it would have gotten that close, right? Because they don't actually say, oh, we intentionally pushed it over that way.
Exactly, which they may have done. It's just kind of the implication is that it's that far off course, but it really could have been intentional.
So it has a new target called Apophis in 2029, which a lot of people that are not scientific necessarily, but know about Apophis. Apophis is supposed to be like the world-ending asteroid.
Okay, that's interesting, but also,
and we're going out there to
sure,
poke it.
Inducing some interesting theories.
Yeah. So the spacecraft's trajectory includes several perihelions that are closer to the sun than the spacecraft's components were originally designed to withstand. So I guess they picked this fight on purpose.
Like a course correction, yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Because like the first one, it was, I'm really encouraged by the first close perihelion pass. So they basically said, let's see what we can do. Might as well. It's taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah, but what if they'd done it and it went completely defunct or something? Then they'd be like, now we're a year behind schedule or whatever to go intercept this next asteroid.
And remember that OSIRIS-APEX is OSIRIS-REx. So this is OSIRIS-REx sample collection on the asteroid Bennu, where it took a sample and then launched back to Earth, dropped off the sample, and took off as OSIRIS-APEX. Pretty wild, right? And I didn't realize
it's got some crazy commuting.
Yeah, it's kind of like an Uber of asteroids dropping off. Uber Eats, Uber asteroids. Wow, that would have been an amazing. Can you imagine if that's what Uber translates to now? They're like, okay, well, the self-driving thing isn't going to manifest, so we have humans driving, but now we have all of this money. So why don't we do Uber asteroids? And it goes and takes samples from asteroids and brings them back.
That would be cool.
I would love for us to do probes. Just send out probes. Bippity, bippity, bippity. Just go out and have a strong enough radio to beam it to the deep space relay, and then beam that back to us so fast that we're like getting all of this really deep space telemetry from almost immediately. The slowest part is now getting our stuff out into space.
Exactly. Well, as we can tell with this mission, right? Like, it's incredible that we're able to do this. It's still a long period of time.
Yeah, 4 years before it gets to 5 years before it gets to Apophis, Which I didn't realize Osiris Apex was going to Apophis. I had no idea. I knew that it was going to a large metal asteroid, but I didn't realize that it was going to Apophis. I'm sure that there are people out there right now that are just shaking in their boots that we're going to go mess with the thing that's supposed to end the world.
Well, I mean, if the world's going to end already, what
might as well, right? Just poke it, get it over with, rip the Band-Aid off. Pretty cool. Let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Technology Today. New technique achieved unprecedented precision in moon mapping. So here we are, standing on the shoulders of giants. We're going to be able to take a more precise look at the alien spacecraft that is the moon. Everybody agrees on that, right? Just like the Earth is flat.
No, I don't know about that, but I wonder if we can use things like our X-rays on the moon.
Yeah.
Like our baking X-rays.
Yeah.
We might need a little larger scale.
We're going to need a bigger microwave. So researchers at Brown University have enhanced the shape from shading technique for mapping the moon, making the process faster and more detailed. I didn't know this until recently, that apparently there's an outer crust that has been hit by meteors hard enough to penetrate, and it's shown that there are caves underneath the regolith. And we've talked about it a couple of times here in ohmTown.
Right.
But
I didn't know that before we saw the articles in ohmTown, though.
Pretty amazing. I wonder, if nowadays that's what students are learning. Because it was not taught when I was in school. So the article, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Something like, this is a planet. And now it's like, this is the subsurface of the, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just here something much more detailed.
Here you can actually see the alien spacecraft that is.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
So new research study may help redefine how scientists map the surface of the moon, making the process more streamlined and precise than ever before. Published on May 28th in the Planetary Science Journal. The research by Brown scholars Benjamin Boatwright and James Head describe enhancements to a mapping technique called shape from shading. It is used to create detailed models of lunar terrain, outlining craters, ridges, slopes, and other surface hazards. And by analyzing the way light hits different surfaces of the moon, the technique allows researchers to estimate the three-dimensional shape of an object or surface from composites of two-dimensional images, essentially creating stereoscopic vision. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of this. Let's see here. Oh, wow. So pre-existing models for the INA irregular mare patch. That's A, C, and D. And by using this more detailed process, a sharper shape from shading models from the study B and E are created. So you can actually see with greater fidelity little micro craters that are in here where things wouldn't normally be seen because it's just kind of a bump map and kind of like dull. Now it's sharp, and you can see with greater fidelity.
Is this from like rovers or telescope, or we don't know? I guess it could be used with any existing imagery.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like this. So streamlining the mapping process and advanced technology in lunar mapping, basically it requires that images that you're using be perfectly aligned with one another so that the feature in one image is the exact same place of another. But current tools are not quite in a place where you can just give it bunches of images and it'll spit out a perfect product. But I would suspect that if you can stabilize them around a particular feature, then you can get a smaller but highly precise set of images. Okay. Here, let's just go on to the next article. The next article is over in Technology Today. New Earth-sized planet discovered orbiting a star that will live 100 billion years. Researchers using global robotic telescopes discovered an Earth-sized planet, Speculus 3b, which sounds straight out of Star Trek, orbiting an ultra-cool red dwarf because it has a leather jacket on within the Milky Way. It says it's tidal locked. So Kristen Walbolt from NASA put the article together for SciTech Daily. Won't be able to say much about this. Speculus 3b is about 55 light years from Earth, really close when you consider the cosmic scale, and nearly the same size. A year there, one orbit around the star, takes about 17 hours. The days and nights, though, may never end. The planet is thought to be tidally locked, so the same side, known as the day side, always faces the star like the moon to Earth. The night side would be locked in never-ending darkness.
That sounds rather dire.
Yeah. One side is blazing hot and the other side is freezing cold. So in our corner of the galaxy, ultra-cool dwarf stars are ubiquitous. They are so faint that their planetary population is largely unexplored. Speculus, search for planets eclipsing ultra-cool stars. Project.
Wow, the naming there was interesting.
Jeez. Yeah, it looks like one of those, like somebody clipped a bunch of different characters to make a ransom note.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Led by Michael Gillen from the University of Liège, Belgium, was designed to change that, apparently. Ultra-cool dwarf stars are scattered across the sky, so you need to observe them one by one for weeks to get a good chance to detect transiting planets. For that, you need a dedicated network of professional telescopes. This is the concept of Speculus. They're talking more about not really the planet so much as that they found it. So
exactly.
So Speculus 3b, the star, is thousands of degrees cooler than the star is thousands of degrees cooler than the sun, with an average temperature of 2,627 degrees Celsius, or just shy of 4,800 degrees Fahrenheit. But it pummels its planet with radiation, meaning there's likely no atmosphere. There's really not much else to say about this thing. There's a lot of... Look at the reference.
There's a lot of names.
My God.
I mean, that's like half the article here.
Oh, this is all of the people from all of the telescopes that took readings to facilitate this thing.
Oh, I see. Okay, because I'm like, that's a really long list of researchers.
Yeah, and you get paid for publishing, so... Nature Astronomy is where this is housed. Detection of an Earth-sized exoplanet orbiting the nearby ultra-cool dwarf star Speculus 3. Let's keep going. We've got 3 more articles, and this next article is over in Technology Today as well. NASA backs 12 innovative studies to enhance Mars exploration. NASA's enlisted...
By the way, we have a lot of space exploration today, but there's a lot of space-related news this week.
There's a lot of space out there to explore. So NASA has enlisted 9 U.S. companies to conduct 12 studies on applying commercial services to Mars science missions. And I think that they're going to go through all 12 of these real quick. And I'll go through them really quick. Jet Propulsion Laboratory is who put the article together, and it's posted at scitechdaily.com. I don't know if they'll actually go through them all. Yeah, they are. So the Small Payload Delivery and Hosting Service, Large Payload Delivery and Hosting Services, Mars Surface Imaging Services, Next Generation Relay Services.
Oh, I see. There's multiple studies under each topic.
Yeah, contracts within it. So the 12-week studies are planned to conclude in August, and a study summary will be released later in the year. The studies could potentially lead to... Go ahead.
I was going to say one of the examples is that there were trying to adapt Earth orbit communication satellites for Mars. I was just going to make something up there because the words suddenly went off the screen.
So yeah, Lockheed Martin Corporation provide communication relay services via a modified Mars orbiter. It's like the deep space orbiter, the deep space relay. Maybe they can use that same laser optic device to send terabytes of information like that.
Oh, right. Faster than we can get internet on Earth.
And well, that's because it's a series of tubes. And I like beer. Each awardee will receive between $200,000 and $300,000 to produce a detailed report on potential services, including payload delivery, communications relay, surface imaging, and payload hosting that could support future missions to the Red Planet. That's pretty awesome. There you go. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Groundbreaking new study reveals that statins could prevent cancer. So researchers have found that pitavastatin, sorry, you have to pronounce it the right way.
You got to get the right emphasis.
Yeah, on the right syllable. Suppresses skin and pancreatic cancers by inhibiting interleukin 33. A study conducted by researchers at Mass General Cancer Center has determined. The article is from Massachusetts General Hospital, which sounds like it should be a TV show. It's over at SciTech Daily.
It does. Is it a long-running soap opera?
Yes. So Mass General Cancer Center reveals that statins might block a pathway involved in cancer development due to chronic inflammation, showing promise in preventing cancers associated with environmental toxins, particularly in the skin and pancreas. That's interesting. You know, so many things that I hear about have to do with chronic inflammation. So why aren't we studying how to stop the inflammation from ever occurring?
Or sometimes what's causing it, right? I mean, sometimes it's something like cancer, but sometimes it could be maybe because a vitamin or something is out of whack, as an example.
Yeah. So the recent study conducted by researchers at Mass General Cancer Center found that statins, which are widely used to reduce cholesterol in your blood, might inhibit a specific pathway linked to cancer development caused by chronic inflammation, and the results were reported in Nature Communications. So chronic inflammation is a major cause of cancer worldwide. So if it can hobble that's basically what I'm talking about. We investigated the mechanism by which environmental toxins drive the initiation of cancer-prone chronic inflammation in the skin and pancreas, says Demary, who is also the Bob and Rita Davis Family MGH Research Scholar from 2023 to 2028. Jeez.
I'm guessing that's named after some foundation or something, but it's not exactly a quick name to say.
Furthermore, we examined safe and effective therapies to block this pathway in order to suppress chronic inflammation and its cancer aftermath. So look at that. That's exactly what I said. So they are researching.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is tied to like environmental, or what they believe is environmentally caused. So I wonder if they can do a corollary to this for non-environmentally caused.
Yeah. They get into the reads about how it all gets activated and how it works, but when they screened a library of U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved drugs, the researchers found that a statin, pitavastatin, effectively suppresses IL-33 expression by blocking the activation of TBK1 IRF3 signaling pathway. In mice, pitavastatin suppressed environmentally induced inflammation in the skin and pancreas and prevented the development of inflammation-related pancreatic cancers. Done and done. Now they've got to find...
This is really big.
Yeah. And for the nerds that are out there, my understanding is that pancreatic cancer is what caused the death of Steve Jobs. So if this would have been on the market, then Steve Jobs could still be alive, possibly. He refused treatment. Wow. Yeah. At least based on what everything was talked about. So the next thing is that we aim to further examine the impact of statins in preventing cancer development and chronic inflammation in the liver, gastrointestinal tract, and to identify other novel therapeutic approaches to suppress cancer-prone chronic inflammation. There you go.
It's interesting. I wonder why they've selected, for instance, liver and gastro next. Maybe those operate similarly, or they think they will operate similarly.
It's probably that because of cholesterol.
Oh, right. That would make sense. Plus, I think both of those play some part in, like if you're getting toxins through your food or
Right.
other things, maybe those would go to those areas.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's exactly. Pretty neat. Nature Communications is where this article, the research is housed, but it's titled Statins. Statin prevents cancer development and chronic inflammation by blocking interleukin-33 expression. So you can go and look for the actual journal article if you are interested in that kind of thing. And we have one more article, and that's over in Technology Today as well. Nanoscale 3D mapping reveals revolutionary insights into brain structure. This is an area of interest to me because I've always been interested in brain function and cognitive processes and conscious decision making, primarily as it refers to polygraph, lie detection. And so I want to see, now I believe we have the resolution that's capable of doing this, but I want to see if it is possible to distinguish a consciously decided lie versus the spontaneous utterance of a lie or a truth giver. And so the groundbreaking study has mapped a human cerebral cortex fragment in unprecedented detail, finding crucial cellular details and providing a tool for future research. Now, obviously, this is something outside of their brain, this is a piece, but it's been evaluated. 6 layers of excitatory neurons color-coded by depth. Pretty cool.
I didn't know there were excitatory neurons.
Sure. So American Association for the Advancement of Science, or ASS.
Whoa.
I'm
Not
sorry.
in their commercial.
AAAS is the acronym for it. It's over at scitechdaily.com. Using more than 1.4 petabytes of electron microscopy imaging data, researchers have generated a nanoscale resolution reconstruction of a millimeter fragment of a human cerebral cortex, providing an unprecedented view into the structural organization of brain tissue at the supracellular, cellular, and subcellular levels. The human brain is a vastly complex organ, and to date, little is known about its cellular microstructure, including the synaptic and neural circuits it supports. Disruption of those circuits is known to play a role in myriad brain disorders. That right there is the no shit news for Technology Today at 9 p.m. Yeah, and if I would have ended the show right there, we'd be back on time.
So you're saying if your brain doesn't work, it doesn't work?
It doesn't work. Yeah, and if you don't get it, you don't get it. I'm probably going to run afoul of some trademark now because there's a newspaper that uses that. Anyway, scientists generated a 3-dimensional reconstruction of nearly every cell and process within the cubic millimeter sample. They also developed a freely available tool for visualizing and analyzing the vast data set. Using the data, the authors uncovered previously underappreciated aspects of the human temporal cortex, such as the disproportionate number of glia over neurons and the presence of rare yet potent axonal inputs with up to approximately 50 synapses each. That right there is really interesting. If we were to leverage this for AI processing with that level of connective tissue, I think that we'd be able to create sentient AI because it's the interconnectedness.
Sounds very cyberpunk.
Yeah, very, very. So I can't wait for a time where I can make the statement, I'm a courier, a neural courier, and to carry that much information, I'll have to dump a chunk of long-term memory for my neural implant.
Johnny Mnemonic.
Johnny Mnemonic, yes. But that's it, folks. Look at that. You can actually download this. You'll have to follow the links through ohmTown over to SciTech Daily, or do a search for Nanoscale 3D mapping reveals revolutionary insights into brain structure, and that'll take you right to it as well. But with that in mind, we are done for Technology Today. So we're going to hop on to our Synapse, and because it operates at the speed of thought, we'll end up back, boom, at the front page of Technology Today. Oh, yeah, I'll refresh it. Who knows what's going to show up in Technology Today? From Ice Age to Geological Wonderland, the rapid transformation of Adam's Inlet. Wow. Just exposing Adam's Inlet like that. I don't know if I'm happy about that. Anyway, I'm Merwatt saying goodnight, and above me is the sentient AI from the future saying until next time, or I don't know what.
Until next time, ohmTown citizens. Oh, you threw off my lines there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We'll see you next week for another episode of Technology Today, but come back shortly for Four Wheel Tech.
That's right. About 10 minutes. We're going to get this show on the road. See you soon. Ouch. I pinched a neuron.